Can we take a moment to talk about this popping up in all of our games? Since the 2020s, gaming has changed for the worse. The kind of change that doesn't happen by accident, but by design.
Oh shit!
Many modern AAA games feel like they are a complete waste of time to play. You're stuck grinding for hours, only to find out there's an option to pay and basically skip it all. AAA publishers seem to have figured out that they can just turn your frustration into a business model, with shady psychological tricks to push you to spend more and more, often on a game that you've already paid full price for. Back in the day, progression in games focused more on skill and learning the game's mechanics. You put in the time, you got better, and you progressed. But now, it feels like every single major studio is trying to turn their games into an endless time sink aimed to nickel and dime you, the player. Correct me if I'm wrong, but games used to respect your time. Let's go back to the dark ages of 2010. Mass Effect 2 and Dark Souls had just released onto the market. They were challenging, sure, but they never really felt like a chore to learn or to progress your character. Fast forward to today and it's a different story. Progression seems to be deliberately slowed down, resources are purposely made scarce, and every single mechanic feels like it's been designed to be as torturous as possible to push you towards making a purchase at the in-game store. Take Assassin's Creed Odyssey as an example. I remember being gifted this game by a friend. I booted it up and got about 15 minutes in and immediately thought, this isn't an Assassin's Creed game. It's an generic open world RPG with some quote-unquote assassination mechanics slapped on for branding. But fine, maybe I could still enjoy it as an RPG, right? Well, not exactly. RPGs for me are all about progression and seeing my character grow from weak to Giga Chad. A great example for this is KCD2. Watching Henry grow from a ball of uselessness in the beginning to a true knight in shining armor throughout the course of the game is something I deeply admire about RPGs. Don't get me wrong, progression in KCD2 is fairly slow as well, and you need to invest significant time to get better at things like crafting, alchemy and blacksmithing. And that's fine, because on top of providing you perks for improving the various aspects of your character, you as a player also learn and improve at those skills the more and more you do them. Odyssey, however, has these systems too, but the fundamental change here lies in the fact that AC Odyssey gives you an option to skip the grind entirely. For example, Odyssey has a massive problem with enemies which are far too tanky and take way too long to kill. This changes combat from an intense life or death experience to a DPS check to see how quickly you can kill this enemy before moving on to the next. But if this is getting boring, don't worry, the in-game shop literally sells better weapons for you to use and get rid of those mobs just a few seconds faster. This is the same deal for upgrading your ship which you use to traverse the map. The amount of resources required to upgrade it gets absolutely insane later in the game, and you have to spend hours sailing around collecting random materials before you can finally hit the upgrade button. But don't worry, instead of spending 4 hours mindlessly sailing around, why not toss Daddy Ubisoft some cash and he'll make all of this go away. I can't even make this up, they're not even trying to hide it at this point. So many modern games have these mechanics and it's really starting to get tiresome. See where I'm going with this? At that point, why even bother playing the game when you can just pay to skip progression? It feels like even small mechanics like these are being turned into another grind so companies can dangle a paid shortcut in your face. I swear, the people who protested the horse armor fiasco back in 2006 were way ahead of their time. I swear they would be rolling in their graves right now seeing how bad things have become. Somewhere along the way, big gaming studios decided that live service is the best thing since sliced bread. Despite case after case proving that players are sick of the grind-heavy, microtransaction-riddled mess, companies like Ubisoft, EA and 2K keep doubling down and failing spectacularly. Let's go back to our old friend Ubisoft. It's been years since they put out a genuinely good game. And if you ask me, Ubisoft died after they released Black Flag. That was the last time an AC game actually felt like an Assassin's Creed game. And fun fact, it was the last game in the franchise to ship without microtransactions. Coincidence?
I think not!
Instead of innovating, they took one of their best franchises and sold its soul, turning it into an endless open world grind fest where progression is deliberately slowed down. Why? Because they want you to get so frustrated that you consider paying real world money just to move forward a little bit faster. This isn't just a Ubisoft problem. Wherever you go, you see the same trend. EA's FIFA series, it's basically the same game every year repainted with the same exploitative Ultimate Team system where you can spend thousands trying to get a good team, which again is completely up to luck and RNG. 2K's NBA series, same thing. A full price game that also sells you an additional subscription to upgrade your players faster. Yep, You heard that right. And lastly, Diablo Immortal, the most aggressive pay-to-win game I've ever seen.
I'm gonna run this, and this rift right here is gonna cost me about $20. Wow! There's no chest.
The amount of money required to max out a character is absolutely insane. And recently, it also seems like Riot Games has gone to the dark side with the rise of gacha mechanics and up to $500 worth of paid skins. But here's the kicker, while AAA publishers are busy milking old franchises, the industry is actually shifting beneath their feet. Subscription services like Xbox Game Pass are changing the way that we play games. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, has pointed out that AAA publishers are really struggling to adapt to this shift from physical to digital distribution. And honestly, it's about time. Why pay $70 for a game that's designed to nickel and dime you when you can get access to hundreds of games for a fraction of the price? Services like Game Pass are proving that you don't need to exploit players to make money, you just need to give them value. And even then, Game Pass isn't performing well either, since Xbox has been really struggling to put out great titles like they once did back in the day. However, there is some good news. Independent studios are thriving. Games like KCD2, Baldur's Gate 3, Black Myth Wukong were all created by smaller industry players, proving that innovation doesn't require a massive budget. These games are fun, engaging, and most importantly, they respect your time. It's almost like when you focus on making a great game instead of a soulless cash grab, players will actually want to support you. The sad thing is that most modern games shouldn't be this way. They should be fun, but instead they ship with built-in inconvenience, if you ask me, forcing players to spend as much time as possible just to progress. But why? Isn't making your game tedious just bad game design? Well, here's where it all clicks. They don't want you to play longer, they want you to get frustrated enough to spend. The grind isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It's why these games have an in-game store conveniently offering you a way out. It's why they make XP gains so slow, so they can sell you an XP boost. It's why item drop rates feel so rigged, so they can sell you premium loot boxes, or worse, get you to gamble for skins. The entire system is built on exploiting human psychology. Let's say, for example, artificial scarcity. They make resources deliberately hard to obtain so you feel compelled to buy them from the in-game store via microtransactions. As I mentioned earlier, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a fantastic example of this, where you are forced to either roam around the world and play for hours, or just cough up some extra cash and get those upgrade materials instantly. At that point, isn't it ironic that you are effectively paying money to play less of the game that you bought? Next, we have FOMO, or fear of missing out. Battle passes make you feel like you'll miss out forever if you don't buy now. This one works by literally showing you all the rewards that you could unlock if you make a small donation to the developers. Gacha games and live service models thrive on this mechanic, keeping players locked into an endless spending cycle. And lastly, sunk cost fallacy. Once you've put in some money into a game, it's easier to justify to yourself spending just a little bit more. Imagine you've already put in a few bucks to improve your team. It won't hurt to fork out a bit of extra cash to max them out, right? You get what I mean, and honestly, the sad thing about it is that it works, because instead of feeling like you're wasting time grinding, they make you feel like you're saving your own time by paying, which is insidious, really. And the sad thing is that we all know that we hate this. The backlash has been huge. EA got obliterated over Battlefront 2's pay-to-win mechanics. Ubisoft games are constantly being dragged for their soulless design, bloated gameplay, and pay-to-progress mechanics. Even local governments have started cracking down on loot boxes, calling them predatory gambling. But here's the problem. As long as these tactics make money, they won't stop. Gaming used to be about having fun, escaping reality, and mastering challenges. Now, it feels like it's about who can spend the most to avoid frustration. But it doesn't have to be this way. We, the players, have the power to demand better. Because at the end of the day, games should respect our time and not sell it back to us. If you are tired of these practices, check out other games like Hades or Celeste, titles that prove you don't need microtransactions to create a rewarding experience. But that's not enough. The only way this changes is if we, the players, stop supporting this practice. If we stop buying half-baked games with microtransaction-loaded progression. But of course, these are just my thoughts. The good news? We have the power to change this. By supporting developers who respect our time and money, we can send a clear message to the AAA industry that commoditizing inconvenience has got to stop. Hey, Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to share that I am really surprised by the amazing feedback and reach of the previous video, and I don't really know what else to say other than thank you for watching it all the way, and I hope that the content which I produce is something you're interested in. So if that's the case, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe because it really helps out the channel, and of course, no obligation, please feel free to check out my Patreon as well if you would like to support me. And that's all I have for you today. I will see you in next week's video. Bye bye.